of many. Today we focus on mandatory military service in South Korea. 250,000 South Koreans are conscripted every year, and the military training has become central to the country's identity and culture. Trying to evade conscription can bring supreme shame to a family and ruin your career. But recently, things have begun to change. The death of a young soldier last April, tortured by his comrades, has South Koreans worried and shocked. Linton, Guillaume Bression and Eunah report.
A few last pictures, a few precious final moments with family. Today, Kyung-jun Lee and about 1,700 other young men just like him are entering the South Korean military.
I've brought everyone with me because I think I'd be too nervous to come alone. And also I want to be with them right until the last minute. I'm going to miss them. But I'm ready to sacrifice my life and to serve my country. And I will complete my service to the best of my ability.
As draftees enter the Nonsan Training Center, about 150 kilometers south of Seoul, they pass by images hand-drawn by North Korean defectors, illustrating atrocious conditions in the North's political prison camps. Spending time in the military is not optional for most South Korean men, and the enemy to the north remains the main reason why.
Welcome, young Korean men, young conscripts, who have willingly answered their country's call to serve in our hallowed military.
Many South Koreans view their mandatory 2-year military service as a strong institution. They consider it both a duty and an honor. At this welcoming ceremony, young conscripts demonstrate their very first military salutes under the proud watch of their parents. When they head to their barracks, the goodbyes are solemn and emotional. But there are other voices calling for a reform of South Korean military service. Last April, a young private died, apparently after being tortured by other soldiers in his barracks. This amateur video shows residents of Seoul paying their respects to him. Photos document the 35-day ordeal of the young private, whose name was Yoon. Tae-hoon Lim runs the organization that made the photos public, opening floodgates on public criticism of military conscription. Himself a conscientious objector and homosexual rights activist, Lim says it is time to push back on South Korea's warrior culture.
There is a misconception in the military in which people believe a certain amount of roughing up is a necessary evil to instill discipline, and that somehow that helps us win battles against our enemy.
In the few short weeks since those photos of Private Yoon were made public, 2 other soldiers have committed suicide, driven to that point of desperation by more suspected bullying. Korean parents are letting the Ministry of Defense know they are deeply concerned.
I am so worried. I can't send my son to the army.
South Korea sends more conscientious objectors to prison than any other country in the world. Some 650 people are locked up on average every year for refusing to enter military service. Most of them are Jehovah's Witnesses, who view training to kill as a violation of their religious faith. Sun-min Kim is one Jehovah's Witness who spent 16 months in jail for refusing to take up arms.
Throughout
my ordeal, I kept thinking to myself, why should I be here? I decided not to kill people, but still, I am being treated even worse than if I had killed someone.
South Korea provides no alternative to military duty for young men. As a response to the recent abuse cases, the Ministry of Defense is considering measures to reward soldiers who expose bullying in the barracks. Officials are also looking at increasing the number of military psychiatrists available and making it easier for parents to visit their soldier sons. But in a fighting force of nearly 700,000 members, it's an open question whether those steps will go far enough in helping South Korea's military keep the peace within its own ranks.
All right, we get all the latest sports results now, starting with football and the French Ligue 1.
Euro 20